So, what does it really take to build a physique that wins championships? Well, we figured why not go straight to the source? We're talking about the 6-time Mr. Olympia himself, Chris Bumstead. We're going to dive right into his top 10 list of muscle building exercises, counting it down from 10 all the way to that #1 spot.
And, right off the bat, Bumstead drops this little teaser for us. He's basically promising that his #1 pick is something you wouldn't expect, but that it's absolutely essential for pretty much everyone. So yeah, you're definitely going to want to stick around for that reveal.
All right, let's get into it. We're starting with the first half of the list, numbers 10 through 6. Think of these as the exercises that sculpt the frame, building that classic aesthetic physique. Kicking things off at number 10 is, maybe a surprise for some, the standing calf raise. Why? Well, because you just can't build a truly balanced body on toothpicks. Now, Bumstead's technique here is what really matters. He says to lock your knees and even flex your glutes a bit. This stops your other leg muscles from cheating, and it forces your calves to do all the work through the absolute longest range of motion possible. Moving on up to number 9, we've got the dumbbells shoulder press. And for Bumstead, this pick is all about playing the long game. It's about longevity. He makes the case that dumbbells are just way better for your joint health over time because they let your shoulders move more naturally. The most important thing here is form. Pull those shoulder blades back and down, and whatever you do, don't let your elbows flare out at the bottom. That's how you protect your shoulders and really get the most out of the lift. All right, at number 8, we have the chest-supported row. And look, this isn't just about making your back wider. It's about building a thick, 3-dimensional back that pops. The key cue to think about is elbow drive. Just imagine you're pulling your elbows straight back towards the ceiling. And here's a real pro tip from him. Because you're supported by the chest pad, your core isn't doing the work. This helps keep your waist from getting thicker, which is crucial for that snatched waist aesthetic. Coming in at number 7 is the incline dumbbell curl. With this one, it is all about the stretch. Seriously, when you lean back on that incline bench, you're putting the bicep in this pre-stretched position, which hammers the long head of the muscle. The technique has to be super strict though. Elbows are pinned, they don't move, only your forearms are moving the weight. Trust me, that deep, deep stretch at the bottom, that's where the magic happens for growth. And rounding out this first half, at number 6 is the decline dumbbell skull crusher. Now you might be asking, why on a decline? Well, it's pretty much just simple physics. That angle means gravity is always pulling the weight back and down, which puts this constant, unrelenting tension on your triceps through the entire rep. There's literally no place to rest at the top, which makes it an incredibly powerful move for building bigger arms. Okay, before we jump into the top 5, we really need to talk about a core idea that kind of ties this whole list together. If you ask Bumstead if you should train to failure, his answer is always, well, it depends. See, there are 2 types. You've got technical failure, which is the last rep you can possibly do with perfect form, and then there's absolute failure, which is when you push past that, using half reps, cheat reps, whatever it takes. Neither one is always right or always wrong. They're just different tools in your toolkit. So with that whole it depends philosophy in mind, let's see how that applies to the big boys. We're getting into the heavy hitters now. These are the absolute foundational movements for building some serious mass. Kicking off our top 5 is the undisputed king of leg exercises, the barbell back squat. To put it simply, Bumstead calls a heavy, deep squat totally non-negotiable if you want to build huge legs. And his #1 cue for making it count? Your hamstring has to touch your calf at the bottom. No half reps. It's all about that full, deep range of motion with some heavy weight on the bar. But hey, what if you have trouble with squat form? A lot of people do. Well, Bumstead offers this fantastic 4-step fix. First, lose the squishy running shoes. Go barefoot or use flat shoes. Second, actively create an arch in your foot to stabilize your knee. Third, focus on driving your knees out so they track right over your toes. And finally, squeeze your glutes at the bottom to power yourself back up. It's a perfect little checklist to fix your squat. At number 4, we've got the lying hamstring curl. And here is a trick straight from a 6-time Olympia champ. Stick a small foam pad or yoga block right under your knees. It lifts them up just a tiny bit, but it lets you get a way, way deeper stretch on your hamstrings. But he also gives a really serious warning here, and he's speaking from experience, having torn his own hamstring. You have to control the negative. Don't just let the weight slam down. Number 3 is a total classic, but with a specific twist, the supinated pull-up. That just means an underhand, palms facing you grip. And there are 2 big reasons for this.
First, it allows for a complete dead hang stretch at the bottom with your arms fully extended overhead. And second, and this is huge, it's basically the perfect antidote to modern life. It directly fights against that hunched over, rounded shoulder posture we all get from staring at our phones and laptops all day. And our runner-up at number 2 is the incline dumbbell press. Now, getting the little details right here is everything, both for muscle growth and for staying injury-free. First up, the angle. A true 45-degree incline is actually a lot lower than most people think it is. And second, for the sake of your shoulders, tuck your elbows in a bit. It not only protects your joints, but it actually lets you get a much better stretch on those upper chest fibers you're trying to hit.
Okay, this is it. The moment we've been building up to. The single most important #1 exercise in Chris Bumstead's entire playbook. The one he said everyone, and he meant everyone, needs to be doing.
So what is it? I mean, after all these super specific, targeted movements, what is the one single exercise that he believes can pack on more overall muscle than anything else you can do?
It's the deadlift. Plain and simple. That's Bumstead's #1 pick for packing on the most amount of raw mass, period. So why the deadlift? Why is it #1? Because it is an absolute total body powerhouse. It builds your legs, your entire back from top to bottom, and your core, all in one single movement. And the strength you get from deadlifting has this massive carryover effect that makes you stronger on almost every other lift you do. It's truly the ultimate foundation for both strength and size. Okay, so now that we have the full top 10, let's kind of zoom out for a second and look at the why. What's the big idea, the core philosophy that really connects all of these different exercises? It really all comes back to this one phrase. The single most important thing to take away from Bumstead's entire approach is that there's no one-size-fits-all answer to anything. Context is king. The best exercise, the best rep range, it all depends on you, your goals, and your body. And this quote just proves the point perfectly. Even something as fundamental as using a full range of motion isn't some unbreakable law. It's a tool. And yeah, a lot of the time, it's the best tool for the job. But sometimes, maybe partial reps are what you need. The trick is knowing which tool to pull out of the toolbox and when. So when you get right down to it, this list isn't a strict set of rules you have to follow. It's a toolkit filled with incredibly effective tools. The real lesson here is to stop searching for a rulebook and to start building your own personal toolkit. So the only question left is, which tool are you going to use today?